All right, fire away. Since we just saw each other.
What'd the film tell you? We talked a lot about that slow start yesterday, so
Uh,
was it maybe that was the lion's share of your takeaway, or was there something else that stood out, good or bad?
yeah, the start of it that we talked about after the game, they made some good plays in the first. It was either 5 or 6 possessions, but they made some good offensive plays, and they obviously made shots in that first stretch. Offensively, we hurt ourselves. Right? And I felt that. I don't know how much we talked about it yesterday, but I felt that when that first half was unfolding, but it really showed up on the tape. You know, we forgot a couple plays. We didn't attack some closeouts. We got the ball, made some really good plays, and got the ball where we needed it, and didn't take advantage of it. Didn't get points out of it. Uh, I'd say of the 10 threes we took, probably 6 of them. I thought 9 of them or 10 of them, but 3 or 4 of them were covered pretty good. Right? So not quite as good as I thought when I went back and looked at that, Cole. But we weren't sharp enough offensively in the first half. That hurt us as much as anything. And then that 8-0 run, and I think I referred to it yesterday. The 8-0 run, probably later first half, maybe around the 7-8 minute mark, we'll call it. Right, where they got 2 threes and a 2. That one really hurt because we had just cut it to 23-17. We had a shot to cut it 23-20, and they had played better than we had to that point. But now you got a 3-point game, and then they hit that 8-0 run, and now you're right back where you were 2 minutes into the game. So we got to sharpen up some things offensively. So some of it again. Look, guys made some really good plays. But we've just got to take a look at, show them on film, talk to them about finishing off some of those plays, right? What we do once we get there. And then the second half is just a different game. The way we played it defensively, Kent was going to be wide open, and that's the way it was going to be. So not a lot to report about in the second half, other than we threw a couple things at the wall, and they almost stuck.
You were pretty confident about this team's offense despite the showing yesterday. The players were pretty confident in this team despite the offensive showing yesterday.
No.
Where does that confidence come from?
Yeah, I would say a couple places. I would say one, this group has continued to do a really good job of spending time in the gym, right? And that's it's something that I talk about often with our players, right? And that could be any part of the season, right? It could be the middle of the summer, it could be today, it could be in September, right? It's something that I go back to and refer to a lot. Is the hard work matters. Right? Confidence comes from hard work. Right? This group has done a really good job of that. Ethan, they just have. They've been great about getting in the gym and working on their game, right? And staying sharp from a ball handling, shooting, passing. That's where most of it comes from, right? And then I like a lot of what we're doing offensively. Right? I think our staff has done a really good job. Seth has done a really good job with the offensive, the structure of it, the way we approach it. That's an important part of it as well. And then when you've got, when guys are spending the time that's required, they know when we play that they get to play with a ton of confidence and a ton of freedom. Right? We really give them the green light to play. Right? And that goes back to what I said first. I just get in the gym and work. And these guys are doing that. So they know when we're playing games, they just get to play. Right? They can go and do, and they can shoot. They just get to go play. I would say it's a combination of those things.
Going alongside with that, with the differential, I think it was 42 points in just the 3-point shooting alone yesterday, that Indiana State game. Is there a moral victory in that you were 11 points away and that's something that you seeded on the 3-point line?
Yeah, that's a great question, buddy. There's a little bit of unknown in there. Just that the second half, the way we defended it, Kent was wide open, number 11 was wide open. Now, had we played it the same way we played in the first half, they got 16 off in the first half. So had we played it the same way we played it in the first half, they may have gotten 16 more off anyway, right? I think they shot 34. But it's too many, and two of them came in that 8-0 run, right? And we made mistakes on both those plays. Even in the second half, the flare at the top for number 3, ball went underneath it, and he was supposed to go over the top of it, and that was one of them. They ran it again. Trey went underneath it. He happened to miss the second one. When they went back to back with that play at the top for number 3, they were both supposed to go over the top, right? So there was some errors that led to some of the three-point attempts, and we've got to get that cleaned up on the three-point line, and we've got to do a better job of getting closer to three-point shooters. And we have to make the three-point attempts harder when they do shoot them, and we've got to find a way to cut out some mistakes. So maybe they shoot 26 instead of 34, right? And maybe we're closer to them on 6 of them, and they miss 3 of those 6. Like that's where we've got to get to. Right? That isn't an answer to the question that you asked me, right? But that's what we've got to do defensively. The part of the game, where you started with it, Ethan, the part of the game when it's 23-17 and they had really outplayed us, felt like, all right, we're far enough into the game now that let's take advantage of it, right? And then getting it to what was, I might have asked you this yesterday, gang, but did it get under 10 in the second half?
It was 60-53.
60-53. Yeah, you're and you're, like I said, when you play it defensively the way we did in the second half, you're going to leave a guy open and you're taking chances on that guy making it or missing it, right? So it's a different type of half defensively, but regardless of that, it's 60-53. So do you feel like that there's something in there for us to take some positives from? There is, because that's a very good team, very good, right? They run their stuff well, and there's a ton of skill on the floor. It's challenging, right? It's a really good basketball team. And it's 60-53, and they had played quite a bit better than we had. You're 2 possessions away from making it, it's really interesting. So, that part of it was good.
Nate scored in single digits the past couple games, and that's coincided with getting back into Valley play. So I think in just saying, his play has
Bless you.
probably shot him up opponent's game plan in terms of priority and what
sure.
they're investing into him. And then, of course, he's much less of a secret to Valley teams, it sure seems like, than your non-conference opponents. So what's like the path in this instance for a player? Because you encounter it every season where a guy's having success, and then, a lot of times Valley teams are going to, limit that productivity until they can kind of find their way, to counter that.
Yeah, I would tell you, Cole, the path is it's very similar to what I described in terms of being in the gym and working, getting in and watching the film and really studying that, because you're correct that he's going to be guarded a little bit differently in league games, right? And he has moved up into the top 2 or 3 in terms of the scouting report, and that's happened pretty quickly, I think, this year. But in his first 2 years, he wasn't anywhere near that, right? So for him, this is the first time that he is going to be covered the way in which you described it, right? So you continue to work, right? You get in and you watch now. How are they guarding you, right? You study it, right? So then you can go back to work and make some adjustments, right? And find ways to attack what they're doing to you. And then the other is just plain and simple, just the experience. Just being out there and having teams guard you that way, right? Having teams pay more attention to you, and get those experiences. When you go through them, you're going to do some things pretty darn good, and you're going to do some things that are okay, and you're going to do some things that aren't good enough. Right? That's part of going through it, but that's the best way you learn. right? I mean, you learn that way, and that's, yeah, Nate's, and I know you're not suggesting this, Cole, but Nate's going to be, he's going to be just fine, and he's gonna have a terrific 2 months for us. But this is going to be part of the process for him. Is they're going to pay more attention to him. Yep.
What's the tape and the body of work tell you about UIC?
Yeah, their passing and shooting and skill level at all 5 positions is really good. There's most times there will be 4 players on the floor that have made this year. They've made over 10 threes. There will be and there'll be there's going to be a number of possessions where there's 5 guys on the floor that have all made over 10 threes this season. So back to what we were talking about a little bit. Our ability to limit some 3-point attempts and then also defend the 3-point shots that are being taken better. That's going to be it's going to be really important on Wednesday night, because they do spread you out and they do have multiple guys out there that make them. And then they've been really good defensively. Done a great job there. And they do it a couple different ways. One of the things that they do is switch all 5 defenders at the defensive end of the floor. You see that from time to time, right? You don't see it very often, right? But you will see it a little bit in our league. This is a team that will do that, where they will switch all 5. So you got to attack that a little bit.
What UIC does well, it's a lot of the things that you guys maybe struggled with yesterday. Is that the kind of team you want to face after a game like Sunday?
Oh man, that's another really good question. Yeah, I think in probably more positives to seeing a team that's got some of the similarities back to back, because it's right. It's fresh for you, right? The film from yesterday, and just being on the court with a team that's got that skill level and multiple 3-point shooters. I think there's more positives to it, that you come right back and are facing some of the same things. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? All right. Thanks.